Which leads us in invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'd like to read this prayer from this book called Every Moment Holy. Our lives are so small, O Lord, our vision so limited, our courage so frail, our hours so fleeting. Therefore, give us grace and guidance for the journey ahead. We are gathered here because we believe that we are called together into a work we cannot yet know the fullness of. Still, we trust the voice of the one who has called us. And we offer to you, O God, these things, our dreams, our plans, our vision. Shape them as you will. Our moments and our gifts, may they be invested toward bright, eternal ends. Richly bless the work before us, Father. Shepherd us well, lest we grow enamored of our accomplishments or entrenched in old habit. Instead, let us listen for your voice, our hearts ever open to the quiet beckonings of your Spirit in this endeavor. Let us in true humility and poverty of spirit remain ever ready to move at the impulse of your love in paths of your design. You alone, O God, by your gracious and life-giving Spirit, have power to knit our imperfect hearts, our weaknesses, our strengths, our stories, and our gifts one to another. Unite your people and multiply your offerings, O Lord, that all might resound to your glory. May our acts of service and creation, frail and wanting as they are, be met and multiplied by the mysterious workings of your Spirit, who weaves all things together toward a redemption more good and glorious than we have yet eyes to see or courage to hope for. May our love and our labors now echo your love and your labors, O Lord. That all that we do here, in these our brief lives, in this our brief moment to love, in this the work you have ordained for this community, flower in winsome and beautiful foretaste of greater glories yet to come. O Spirit of God, now shape our hearts. O Spirit of God, now guide our hands. O Spirit of God, now build your kingdom among us. Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. It is 5:30 on this second day of May 2022, and we'll call the meeting of the Fergus Falls City Council to order. Roll call, please.
Here.
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 Fish.
Here.
Here.
Here. We have a quorum. Do you mind people to please silence or put your cell phones in the off mode or the airplane mode for the meeting this evening? First item of business on the agenda is approval of the agenda. I know we're going to move.
Your Honor,
Yes.
can we just ask who is on the phone? Or is that a new, are we listening in?
No, it's for it's an item on the consent agenda. It's, they're just listening to the.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Approval of the agenda. We're going to move item 2 under petitions and communications up to the very beginning so we can get some people on their way. And I'll call on our city administrator, Andrew Bremseth, if there's any other changes.
Yeah, Your Honor, council members, good evening. There are no other changes to the agenda this evening.
So with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll offer that, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Brent. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. So right away, we'll move to item number 2 under petitions and communications, which is a Mndot update on the Highway 210 I-94 Junction project. We have members of Mndot and SRM. I'll call on our SRF, and we'll call on our city engineer, Ryan Navarro, to introduce the project.
2 meetings in a row.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, representatives from Mndot and their city's consultant and their consultant SRF are here. I figured it would be a good time for them to give an update on what they have in the happenings. That's showing there, right there, Trunk Highway 210, the reconstruction of the 2 bridges and some of the geometrics along this corridor. So I believe they had some open houses at the Government Services Center this afternoon. So at this time, I just turn it over to whoever would like to speak about this project, please.
Thank you. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to present this project to you tonight. This is the Trunk Highway 210 reconstruction. It's a concrete reconstruction project at the west junction of I-94. Next slide, please. So we'll start with introductions. I'm Lori Vanderheider. I'm the Mndot project manager.
And I'm Jared Dahl, project manager for SRF Consulting Group.
And we also have...
I'm Tom Lumberg with Mndot up in Detroit Lakes as well.
And so tonight we'll run through the project overview and purpose, the existing conditions, the design alternatives that we considered, and an assessment of those three options. And then we'll kind of run through some of the engagement opportunities that have been going on and are continuing. Next slide.
Just one more minute. There you go.
This slide shows the project area. To the west, we did a concrete reconstruction project in 2020. We'll pick up where that project left off at County Road 116 and go to the east. Mndot's right-of-way ends at the eastern ramps, but we will need to probably go about to Western Avenue for a logical touchdown point. The project, as I said, is a concrete reconstruction. We will be reconstructing the ramps, the interstate ramps, and we will be adding sidewalk and trail for pedestrian and bicycle accommodation. Slide. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jared.
All right, thanks. So the main purpose of this project is to address the failing pavement out there, and then also the bridges are at their end of life. Like Lori said, there are no current pedestrian facilities out there, so we'd be looking to add those in as well. We also looked at ramp realignment, intersection traffic control, and there will also be lighting upgrades as well with this project. Yep. All right, the existing conditions out there. Next slide, please. So currently, it's a 4-lane divided highway. With all three alternatives proposed, we'd be going down to a 2-lane section through this corridor. We'd be replacing both bridges with one bridge, keeping one still up while the other one's being constructed for traffic control and staging. Currently, there's about 10,000 cars on the west side of Trunk Highway 210, and then towards Western Avenue, we increased to about 11,700 cars. With the 20-year growth, we're looking at, on the east side, at just under 12,000, and then on the east side, we'd be about 13,000. With those traffic counts, it doesn't warrant 4 lanes in this section, but the traffic does get heavier as you head east through Western Avenue, which 4 lanes are warranted. Currently, there's an offset intersection at the westbound I-94 ramps. And then, like I said, the lack of pedestrian facilities. So we had 3 design alternatives considered. The first one is alternative A. It's a north roundabout option. We'd be replacing the north bridge and then use roundabout for intersection control. Alternative B would be north signal option. That'd be replacing the north bridge with signals at those 3 intersections. And then alternative C would be the south roundabout option, which would reconstruct the south bridge over I-94. So now we'll take a deeper dive into these 3 alternatives. So the first one we'll discuss is the north roundabout option. Like I said, we'd be going down to a 2-lane on the east or the west side, and then going back to a 4-lane on as we approach Western Avenue. And with these roundabouts design, it allows for continuous flow through the corridor. With this option, we did realign those ramps at the intersection to align better. We'd also be looking at the westbound on-ramp, realigning that to provide more space for merging cars as they approach, headed south before that railroad bridge crossing I-94. And then with this option too, on the westbound I-94 exit ramp, with pushing those roundabouts on the north side, it allows for flatter grades. This can be a hazard in wintertime with trucks trying to get up the hill and then coming to a stop. And with these options, we have that free-flowing grade so trucks can keep their momentum and get through that intersection. And then with the roundabout, it provides a smoother transition from that 2-lane to 4-lane section. So alternative B would be the north signal option. We'd be utilizing signals at the 3 intersections. With this option, there's more fill required in the southwest quadrant to realign those ramps. This will require right-of-way. And then again, with all 3 of these options, we'd be reconstructing that or realigning that on-ramp for westbound I-94. With this, also with this one, we'd be providing that trail connectivity with trails and walks on both sides. And then one con on this one is that skewed intersection at the last eastbound on-off ramp. The lanes are a little bit skewed there, so it's not ideal. It can be confusing to traffic. And then with this design also too, with pushing that design north, that allows for that flatter ramp on the westbound I-94 exit ramp. All right, and then option C would be the south roundabout option. This would replace that southern bridge, and then we'd also have the roundabouts at the 3 intersections, providing that continuous flow through the corridor. With that, reconstructing the south bridge, that would push that middle roundabout to the southwest a little bit more, requiring large embankment quantities and right-of-way. Also with this one, on the eastbound I-94 off-ramp, we are taking out several trees that provide stone control for I-94. And then the I-94 exit ramp, or westbound I-94 exit ramp, with that roundabout on the south, that steepens that off-ramp up a little bit more than where it is currently, providing, makes it tougher for those trucks in those slippery conditions. So we do have some engagement opportunities. Slide, please. We're looking to collect your input on issues and concerns with the proposed alternatives. We do have an online survey that's open through May 16th. We did hand out flyers. There's a project website. I'll post that at the end. It has all the information, all these alternatives on there. So we encourage people to visit that website, provide their feedback, and take a look at the 3 alternatives. Next steps are further input from the public. We'll select that preferred alternative, and then we'll get into project design. This is currently scheduled for a 2028 construction. Unless funding comes available, it may get pushed up. Then I'll open up the questions that you may have.
Anyone have any questions for Jared or Lori or Tom?
I suppose.
Yeah, go ahead, Anthony.
Hi, Laurie. My question would be, I'd be more interested in what you are looking at for the, during construction. Like, how do you propose to have traffic flow then?
Yeah, so when we get further in design, we'll look at that traffic control and staging, the staging plans. We're looking to utilize one of the current bridges out there to get traffic while the other bridge is being poured down and reconstructed. We'd be looking to keep traffic open during construction, but those plans are, we're still in the concept stage, but we would be looking to keep traffic open during construction.
I would advocate for roundabouts. The traffic signals fail.
It looked like there was a lot less red on the northbound roundabout. Just the unscientific observation here.
So then, so that one, looking at all the same criteria for each one is what we tried to do. This one does have a lot more green than red, as some of the other ones have a few more challenges. But and then on the, is there any other questions?
Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
I was at one of the meetings out at the Otter Tail County office when they presented this earlier this afternoon, and talked to one of your coworkers at SRF, and we discussed how the pedestrian and trail aspects of this might be involved, particularly where there hasn't been any traffic like that before, to now introduce it and to have crossings that are in kind of high-speed areas, and whether or not it would be a good idea to involve underpasses or tunnels for pedestrians as opposed to surface crossings. And then I don't remember his name, was his the other fellow that was with you out there?
Jake Nordic.
Jake.
Yep.
Jake is who I was talking with. He said that if there were underpasses or tunnels involved, that would likely end up being a city's responsibility, because at this point in the game, it looks like Mndot wouldn't necessarily go that route. So I just wanted to lay that out there, that was something we had talked about. But he said there were different things that could be done as far as, flashing lights, things that would alert traffic for pedestrians about to cross. But as people are looking at this and putting in their input, that particular aspect seemed to be something that could draw some attention.
Yeah, so with the roundabouts, there's ways to, rapid flashing beacon to signal, let traffic know that there's pedestrians crossing, especially if they're on the opposite side of the roundabout as they come through to navigate that. The roundabouts will, lower speed in this corridor too. When we're designing these, we look at, how fast traffic can move through these as part of the design. So traffic speeds will be calmer with this. I know one question brought up at the engagement this afternoon was with the signals. You get trucks and traffic trying to time them and race to the next one to get through. Roundabouts kind of prevent that. It's a natural calming of traffic.
Any other questions or comments? Well, thank you, Jared.
And then on the last slide, we have contact information for the DOT and the project website. There are handouts out here with a QR code. You can scan those to bring you right to the project website, and then we have all our handouts, the 3 alternatives you saw there, and then
We'll leave copies of the alternatives.
yep, and then we'll leave these with you, Brian. But here's our alternatives here, if you want a closer look at those as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Tom. And we encourage the public to go to the DOT website and get their input in and take a look at the options.
Yes.
Thanks for your work on this.
Thank you.
Under awarding of bids, tonight we have one bid to award, and we'll call on our Public Works Director, Guy Taylor. Good evening, Guy.
Good evening. Thank you, Your Honor. Grass is getting green, and inevitably there will be some yards that we have to alert the owners to a lack of maintenance issues. And we, every 2 years, go through a process where we advertise for bids, and we received 2. And tonight I'm recommending that we award 2022-2023 contract mowing services to Knutson Lawn Services. They will, as requested by a code enforcement officer, go to a particular parcel and take care of those lawn maintenance needs, and those charges will then be billed back to the property owner. We don't incur any costs in the end. Up front we do, but they all get billed back to the property and then certified if we don't receive payment.
Thank you, Guy.
Offer that, Your
Seemed
Honor.
like we can offer that resolution. Thank you, Justin.
I'll second.
Caroline, thank you. Any questions for Guy? Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 The resolution is approved. Tonight, we have one proclamation, and that is declaring May 6, 2022 as Provider Appreciation Day. I'll read excerpts of this proclamation. Whereas Child Care Aware of America and other organizations nationwide are recognizing child care providers on this day, and whereas over half the children under the age of 6 nationwide are estimated to spend some time in a non-parental care arrangement on a weekly basis, which provides critical enrichment opportunities and nurtures development for children of all backgrounds and is a vital building block of our state economy. And whereas Minnesota recognizes these hardships and has provided much needed relief to providers to help sustain the viability of childcare by providing grants and support systems to childcare providers, workforce development grants, and educational resources to provide guidance to safely remain open so they can provide childcare to essential workers. And whereas our future depends on the quality of early childhood experiences provided to young children today, support for high-quality child care and represents a worthy commitment to our children's future. Now therefore, I, Ben Shire, Mayor of the City of Fergus Falls, do hereby proclaim May 6, 2022 as Provider Appreciation Day in the City of Fergus Falls and urge all residents to recognize child care providers for their important work. Thank you. There are 9 items on the consent agenda. If anyone would like to address any of them individually, you can do that. And
Number 8, if I could.
Sure. Would someone like to offer a resolution
I'll offer the 8.
approving the other 8?
I'll second.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Krista. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 A resolution is approved. Item number 8 is a resolution approving a conditional use permit for light industrial in the B6 zone at 1205 West Lincoln Avenue. And did you have a question?
I got a question and a comment.
Yep.
Obviously, it's a positive kind of, thing for the city that this building gets occupied. So, kudos to all those involved on that. And then my question is that, obviously, if there's semi-traffic, is that going to use St. Andrews? And what's the weight limits on the frontage road? The roads are in bad enough shape in the town that, semis using that frontage road a lot would obviously, deter the road faster. And that might be a question for Brian, I suppose.
You have,
I'll get back to you on that information. We did a traffic impact study or a request, however, there was nothing warranted on some of the traffic counts anyways from that perspective. We haven't looked at any of the existing infrastructure as far as roads, but I'm assuming St. Andrews.
I mean, St. Andrews is a logical route, but if the lights don't change fast enough, then people might shoot across on the frontage road. And if we got a lot of semis going on the frontage road, that would hammer that road pretty hard. So maybe that's something staff could look at, because we could always post it if there is a weight limit on it. With that, I would offer the resolution.
thank you, Anthony. And thanks for the points. Well taken. Do we have a resolution? Someone like to offer a
I'll second.
second that? Thank you. Krista, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 A resolution is approved. Under ordinance and resolutions, tonight we have the second reading of ordinance 27, the 8th series, which amends the zoning map for the properties at 432 to 428 Western Avenue from R4 to B2 as requested by SW Properties LLC. We've discussed this at previous meetings. If anyone has any questions, we'll direct them to our city planner or city administrator. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 That ordinance is approved. Tonight we have claims in the amount of $390,960.80. If anyone has any questions, we'll direct them to Bill Simon, our finance director.
I'll offer the resolution, pay the bills.
I'll second.
We have a resolution in a second. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 And resolution approved. There are no board, committee, or department reports this evening. Under reports from staff and administrative officers, we will be looking for a motion requesting 2 council members to be appointed for the Market Structure Policy Committee, and I will call on our Community Development Manager, Clara Beck. Good evening, Clara.
Good evening, thank you. Yes, so as we look forward to opening the market structure, we have realized that we might have more questions than answers about how to best use that space and what sorts of events, things we can do in it, which also actually extends to, do we need greater policies for the use of our parks, etc. So I'm hoping we can get 2 council members to join a working group to look at what other communities do, what would be the right fit for our community, for the business community downtown, to make sure that everyone is getting the use out of that market structure that they expect and hope for.
Thanks, Clara. Anybody like to be on that committee? I bet you Tom Roofer would love to be on that committee. Who else wants to be on there? Caroline, all right. Someone like to offer a motion appointing Caroline and Tom to that committee?
I'll offer that motion.
Thank you, Scott.
Second it.
Thank you, Jim. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. There is no old or unfinished business that I'm aware of. There's no new business. And unless anyone has any other announcements, Lynn, do you have anything For the good of the order? We're adjourned. So we will be adjourning to a closed session to discuss pending litigation or active litigation, and we will not be reconvening.
We may reconvene.
I stand corrected. We may reconvene.